Today I'll be talking about long term, whether it's efforts, goals, relationships. And by long term, I mean more than like a few months. We could even say 6 months to a year or more. So I'm going to start by saying, you know, some details about love and respect. So no one's out to get us. Everyone's just trying to get their own needs met. And, in recognizing unmet needs for another person for another person's respect, choosing us as, the preference or the righteous one or the honoring is from lack, recognizing like, I don't feel respectable, honorable, preferred, chosen. And then resisting the temptation where I have to choose, is like what's meant for me will flow. So my choices will come easy, obviously, in love and respect if I'm receiving my freely given blessings, right? Like, it's just here, it's just available. Instead of impulsively constantly trying to earn it, which has a lot to do with fulfillment and feeling drained. And additionally, we pardon ourselves for the ways we degraded others unknowingly, which is a part of discarding them for being unhealthy enough to meet, to be in the same patterns and, as us. And, they're not helpful. We couldn't learn from our own experience because everything was defective. It's like this infectious, nothing's right. And then you're not right, and you're not right. And we kind of have been pretty disrespectful because we couldn't use people. So honoring that part of the journey means that we could still give ourselves that appraisal and choose to see the good in ourselves even as we were treating people that way. We can experience, goodness in ourselves and our life, and this makes naturally love and respect come more because we can be more effortlessly helpful, and they can be more effortlessly helpful in just being rather than, nothing's good enough, and we kind of degrade people when we think that they have to provide something to be good enough. Then, of course, giving from a place of abundance means just literally we could just die without resentment. There's nothing I gave that I'm waiting to be returned. There's no owing or debts. It's not like there wasn't enough or it wasn't provided freely for anyone open to receive from the source. So it's like this idea is like even applying to patience and kindness. Patience and kindness means, practicing being the change. Things aren't going the way I want, and I'm going to be patient. It's easy to be patient when everything's going beautifully, but when things are not, it's very hard to be patient. So the patience as a challenge is being the change. It's saying it hurts when coldness and reactivity lives in others' dealings with me. So I'm sure vice versa. Like I said, it's like we have to make peace with the fact that we haven't been kind to others when we haven't been kind with ourselves. So how do we bring this into like a romantic relationship? It would be, we have to consider the other and facing the childish fear of losing our independence. Like it's already happened. We've already lost our independence since we're born. But we're always trying to kind of like gain this sense of my identity, my true nature. But some of these, for example, the identity is intact when we're not attached to sexual intimacy for pleasure or for being chosen. So sexual intimacy is a way of expressing love. The identity remains intact. It's not like there's any of these issues that come out when we're kind of using pleasure as a way to get someone to like us. Or when we honor our true nature, it's like our feelings come first. For us to have sex with somebody means that we love them before we would even want to do that. It's a way of expressing love. It's the higher form. And it's also like looking at this other as a mirror. It's going to show me what I'm putting out, where I'm at. They're not going to be able to give me something different than who I am or what I'm putting out. And that's like helping us to see what our outgoing energy is, even if it's earlier patterns of ourself. Like, even if it's 9 months earlier, I'm seeing what's coming. It's like I can't get something here that I don't already have available. This is like continuing the theme. And then there's like going to be lots of disappointment and abandonment because in a relationship, it's important that we don't always get every single thing we want met, but that we're honest with ourselves that we want it. In that way, we can start to take better care of ourselves because we may unconsciously be turning to other people, but if there's one main person and sort of in this culture, we can't really look to a lot of other people to do it, it may be easier to see like this is something I've been looking outside of myself for. And it's not knowing how to stop whatever I was doing to myself, eventually having to end it. It's like, why can't I have it? Why are you taking it from me? Why are you keeping me from relief or my needs being met or that, hitting the spot? And that anger that comes out in relationship is exactly that. In romantic relationships, say they fight like cats and dogs or they fight like an old couple. It's like we can't enjoy that incoming pleasure. We wish to receive something, but we never got from the other the benefit of the doubt or the attention that we desire or believe that we give. And so we actually start to become more whole. We learn to give ourselves benefit of the doubt. For example, I made mistakes. I was going through a hard time, so I was disrespectful towards you. Rather than committing to this idea that you're never good enough because you didn't meet my needs, but kind of looking at what life might be like if I didn't have such strong needs, or maybe I'm using these coping strategies in order to avoid pain or loneliness. And then it's like learning who I am, who I'm not, what I want, what I don't want. And then seeing that time and energy in other areas feel taken or not worth it, shows us what am I really giving here? Is cuddling so hard for me? I feel like cuddling with this person, having sex, conversation, sharing activities, okay, those are all things that are pleasurable, eating together. But then it's like, if you ever feel like, oh, there's something not worth it, then where are you putting in energy where you don't really want it, right? And so some ways to think of this is long-term self-work. I'm going to share two more things. One is a letter I wrote to myself in 2020. It's a bit vulnerable, but I wrote to a past version of myself. So in 2020, my future self was writing to a previous version of me. This was February 8th, 2020. I wrote to myself maybe from 5 years before. You're going to lose all your friends. You're going to become estranged from all family. You're going to become a beggar in order to remain in society. You're going to be fat and hirsute with boyish hair, and your body will hurt almost every day. You're going to become suicidal in the worst moments. You're going to end up totally single and lonely after a series of toxic, codependent, unhealthy relationships. You're going to jump from one addiction to another for over 10 years. You'll feel there's no one who you can trust and understand you. You'll have roommates who make you feel unsafe, one after the next. You're going to sabotage yourself and let dozens hurt you. But you'll finally give yourself permission to be the real you. You'll finally choose to love yourself and accept yourself and put yourself first and enjoy your own company so much and choose to live for you and stop abandoning, betraying yourself. And you're going to heal and nurture your inner child. You'll find God. You'll decide not to care what others think of you or even if they like you. You'll learn to heal your heart and hear it and its guidance. You'll decide you're good enough. You'll finally allow yourself to make mistakes and practice new things impermanently, imperfectly. You'll develop a meaningful relationship with nature and animals that also needs healing. That also need healing. You'll evolve into a more confident, non-self-judgmental person. As you start to believe in yourself, you'll become stronger, more resilient, wiser, more compassionate from struggles, and you'll get better at seeing the bigger picture and being mindful, prudent, conscientious. You'll honor your boundaries. You'll make space for those who can compatibly respect them, and you'll find hope in the most unexpected moments. You'll rebuild your faith in people being good and the universe being a benevolent higher power. I love you. I promise you you're worthy of love and understanding, and you deserve forgiveness and mercy. You're good and precious, and you have infinite growing power. And I'll finish up here with, there was this yoga teacher I had named Monica Pirani, and I was part of her email list for some time, and I would get these prompts for journaling every month. And, looking at myself for the long-term consciousness and reflections, this is going back probably 6 years, something like that, where I used to write these, maybe between 4 and 6 to 7 years ago. And she sent, what are your goals and dreams? This is all long-term, a relationship with the self. Let's say I'm going on a date with myself. What are your long-term goals and dreams? Fulfilling, loving relationships, depth, complexity, sensitivity, health, thoughtfulness, vulnerability, and expression. Regular yoga and movement, exercise, inspiration, and safety. Less emotional reactivity, more patience and freedom. More self-love, sex-exploration, regularity, empowerment. Then she asked, what are your boundaries and your discipline? Where can you work? And I wrote, bedtimes, budgeting money. This is older but still very present. Managing resources, mindfulness, relying on myself more than on others, investing in who invests in me, not what hurts or upsets me. Being reliable with time, honoring my pace, and my energy by not doing for others what they can do for themselves. And then, where can I heal more with self-sabotage, or what I used to like to call self-hindrance? Negative inner dialogue, beliefs that I'm incapable or unworthy, dragging temporary identifications, feelings, and states with me very strongly, stretching experiences that have ended already, and not prioritizing properly and trying to fix or help others instead of taking better care of myself. What about supporting and guidance areas? So I wrote, my main man I can look to, somebody for reassurance, ventilation, and witnessing. I'd like distractions, affection, attention, favors, and caring gestures. I don't mean just from a man, but various channels. Processing, advice, tough love, feedback, validation, or compliments. Reliable or temporary, or irregular or occasional, just all different kinds of support. And finally, looking at my long-term work or reflections and consciousness about communication. Self-pity, I wanted to work with and continue to. Loneliness, something is better than nothing space. Trouble with direct expression or directly asking. Verbalizing or writing my truths, either one can help. Wanting to be known, wanting things to be known about me just for the sake of being known. So that is why I do this work, because I think that it helps us all, each of us separately and together, to become more whole. I hope that this was helpful for you, and I wish you a beautiful day. Look forward to spending time tomorrow on similar topics.